New York Sasquatch encounter. My family and I had an encounter in 1997 just south of Utica, New York, in a rural town of Sauquoit. My grandparents were visiting China at the time, and my mother, uncle, and I were house-sitting for them. I was 16 at the time and had already racked up countless hours of hunting, camping, hiking, and fishing experience in upstate New York. So I was a very outdoorsy young fellow. As I said above, I spent most of my time outside exploring the wilderness. And there wasn't much to do at Grandma's house except for this kind of impressive geological feature they had towards the back of their property. There was a small creek that flowed over a small waterfall, maybe 8 foot high, and down into a stone gorge. The gorge is maybe 150 wide and 20 feet deep, and the edges were composed of large rectangular-ish rocks that were crumbling to below. When visiting, I would often visit here to flip rocks over to catch crawfish or salamanders or whatever I could find. I never felt uncomfortable there. There is what appears to be a cave created by some of the larger rocks that I don't recall ever exploring, but was definitely big enough for a person to crawl into. I didn't get into spelunking until I was in my late teens. Whenever I was in the gorge or on the edge, I would yell in it because it would return a wonderful echo, unlike any echo I've heard before or since, so that was always fun. On to the incident. I believe it was the third night of house sitting around 2:30 to 3 a.m. The house is set about 250 yards from this creek, and we were all sound asleep when I was awakened by the most ungodly thunder scream imaginable. I sat straight up in my bed and listened. I was horrified. Within seconds, I ran out of my room and met my mother and uncle in the hallway, who were also equally shocked as I was. I remember I said I didn't normally cuss. WTF is that? And as I said this, the thing was still screaming. It felt like forever, but it must have went on for at least 15 seconds. It was the loudest and meanest sound. We grabbed a flashlight and a couple shotguns, then went outside to investigate. We checked the horses. They were visibly shaken but okay. We knew the creature was in the gorge because of the echo, so we walked through the horse field and approached the wood line. We heard nothing else and we saw nothing. None of us had the balls to enter the forest where the gorge was. At daylight the next day I went to the gorge to look around. I felt extremely uneasy and remember looking into the cave from IDK maybe 10 yards away, and I just got a bad feeling, so I split. I never went back to that creek to enjoy the wildlife ever again. I wanted to ask my grandfather about it when he returned. But unfortunately he died weeks later and I never had the opportunity. After my grandmother recovered from that, I asked her about it. She said that Grandpa and her had heard the scream 3 times since 1980. My grandfather actively worked on classified projects for 3 branches of military at the same time, and he was an avid hunter in his recreational time. One time he took his repeating rifle and a flashlight to investigate in the middle of night and found nothing. The next morning, this is all according to Grandma, he went to take a better look while it was light out. Grandpa told her not to worry because he found some human excrement and figured it was some kids messing around. I know he told her that because he didn't want to sell the house he built. He wanted to soothe her fears. There's no way a person could make this noise, and there was certainly no kids hanging out in this remote forest at 3 a.m. I forgot to mention that each time they heard this thing it was mid-late summer and about 3 a.m. Each instance was separated by approximately 5 to 6 years. None of us saw anything, but that sound was not forgettable. It certainly impacted my life, as I now consider things that I would not have otherwise. There are things that go bump in the night, 100%. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but these people say it's Sasquatch. I have no other answers. I want to say it was louder than a lion's roar but had a deep guttural pitch to it at the same time. My theory is that whatever it was, using the echo from the gorge to amplify its message. If these things exist, then I doubt they would give away its position if it didn't have a good reason to do so. Grandma sold the house that year, so I couldn't investigate further. I'm tempted to ask the current owners if they've heard anything strange, but I don't want to come across as a nut or spook them. I suspect they have heard it because every 5 to 6 years it was doing this like clockwork. Post from user Knowledge Goon at Reddit.